China. I'm from America and I moved here in 2011 and I'd like to show you my home.
Hello everyone, it's 2015, January 26 today, and we Maxxelli, we are going to make a film, a sequel of film actually, to feature many expatriates sharing their experience and their life at the time in Suzhou. And today we are very happy, we have this lady called Mrs. Laurie Rowland. They will be helping us to do the feature. Can you put... Hello Laurie,
Hi,
how are you?
Good to see you.
Today we want to make the first film of our many sequels is to feature Laurie and husband about their experience and their life here in Suzhou. Yeah, may I ask Laurie, how long have you been here in Suzhou?
We've been here 3 years.
So since 2012?
We moved here, Tony moved in October of 11.
Okay,
Yeah.
So can you tell me why you want to do this film with us?
Well, it would have been very, very helpful for me to have an idea of what to expect living in China. When you come to a foreign culture, there are so many things to address, and when you can't speak the language, it's very overwhelming.
Okay.
And so it would have been helpful for me to anticipate. You know, what's it going to be like to buy groceries, and how do you do this, and how do you do that? How do you get places? How do you communicate?
Okay.
It would have been very helpful for me, and I'm...
So it's something that you could do to help people in the future, yeah?
When I first arrived, I was told I could get an IE, which is what the Chinese refer to as help, domestic help. Ty came over and interviewed her. I loved her immediately. She spoke no English. So Ty has been absolutely wonderful. I hire her Tuesday mornings from 9 till 12. I asked around what other people paid their IEs, but it sounded a little low to me. So I started at 400 RMB a month. I pay her by the month. At the end of the month, I leave the money on the counter for her if I'm not here. Last year, she had been working so hard and for so long, and I felt like she was really going above and beyond the Call of Duty for me. So I told her I'd give her a raise to 500 a month. One thing, though, that I think it's easy to lose sight of is that a lot of times the IEs are very young, and it might be their first job. It may be their very first job with an expat. It may be their first job with an American or whatever country. And so it's important for us to remember that what our standards are of what we expect for cleanliness may not be what they're familiar with. So all it takes is a little patience, and not to be afraid to say, would you like scrub the tub a little harder, or would you, whatever the issue would be, to communicate with them so that they understand what it is you want. If you are too demanding and too exacting, you're going to lose someone. It is well worth your while to take the time and show them what you need and want, rather than trying to train someone all over again. It's frustrating for everyone all around. As far as Ty being able to get into the building and into our apartment, the first couple of weeks I was here, I let her in, and I came to trust her very quickly. She's been absolutely wonderful. I gave her the code to my house so she can get in when she needs to. When we go on vacation, I have Ty come over. It doesn't necessarily need cleaning, but when I go, sometimes I'm gone for 3 or 4 weeks. And so I'll have her come over and water the plants and just make sure that there are no water leaks or anything like that. And I pay her year-round, whether I'm in the country or not, because this is her job. And also when it comes to holidays, over Chinese New Year, that's typically everything in China shuts down, and it's vacation time, and it's a wonderful time to be with family. And so that's an automatic week off. No questions asked, and that's a time when we traditionally give our IE an extra month's salary as a celebration of New Year's. And but don't expect. I think, well, I was on vacation for 3 weeks and she didn't work, so I'm not going to pay her for that. That's really unfair to someone who is needing this job as a full-time job. And so it's tradition that we pay continually. Another thing that sometimes it's easy to lose sight of is that sometimes the machinery that we have, some of my friends have American washers and American dryers, and especially if they're in English, there's no way an IE would understand how to use that machine. And so, you have to kind of stop and use common sense in that respect and show them, walk them through that kind of thing. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I have never had any reason to mistrust Ty. She is completely trustworthy, and I've never heard a single one of my friends complain about anything like that. Theft seems to be a non-issue in general, but it would make common sense when you go away to put your valuables away, and so that if you misplace something, you don't come back and think it's been taken, because 99.9% of the time it'll be that you lost it. I'm very lucky to have a driver available to me. Many expats don't, and actually in Suzhou, it's very easy to get around without a driver. Taxis are everywhere. They've got a great bus system, and they've got a metro, which is very easy to jump on and off and get quickly across the city. So I have become very spoiled by having a driver, and those of you that will get a driver, there are a few things that you should be aware of. First of all, most drivers don't speak English. I would say most of the drivers that my friends have don't. I was very lucky because Sean spoke no English when we got him, and he has taken the initiative to learn English on his own, which has been huge for me. He's also taught me a little bit of Chinese, but he's a much quicker study than I am. As far as what drivers will and won't do, you can expect them to drive like maniacs. No, I'm kidding. Not really like maniacs, but driving in China is pretty erratic, I guess I would say, compared to what we're used to. But there's a symmetry in it. It seems like chaos, but it all works together somehow. And I've learned to just sit back, keep my mouth shut, and trust Sean, because even though there are times when I'm a little concerned, it always works out fine. So that's not a problem. In terms of what he'll do for me, he will take me into the phone company and help me put money on my phone. He would pay utility bills. I have someone else that does that, but a driver would be glad to do that type of thing. We often go into Shanghai because it's fast and inexpensive to go. This is where I buy train tickets, and this lady helps me a lot. She speaks English and is very helpful. The only thing you do is you have to show your passport when you go. It costs about, under $10 to go each way. It's 26 minutes into downtown Shanghai, and it opens a whole new world of things to explore. So I really enjoy it, and she has been very helpful.
All the wrinkled ladies.
Okay.
All the wrinkled ladies. All the wrinkled ladies. All the wrinkled ladies. All the wrinkled ladies.
Put your hands up.
Giving up the same.
One of the things that is the most important thing of my move to China, and one of the things that has created the 9.5 or the 9 number I gave it in terms of liking China, is that I met the other expats living in the area very soon after I moved here. In fact, as soon as I heard we were moving to Suzhou, I looked on the internet for expats, saw their group, saw how active they were, and I joined them on the third day. I arrived on a Thursday. On Monday, I went to the coffee. On Tuesday, they asked me to be a member of their board for the year. So I got busy right off the bat with the EAS, and it has been the single most important factor in my loving China, because I have so many people that are in the same boat that I am, that understand my frustrations, and that can play with me and have fun. And one of the things that I enjoy the most during the week that we do is we play Mahjong every Tuesday from 1 to 4:30.
Hi, my name's Michelle. I have been in China, in Suzhou specifically, for 5 years. I've known Lori for 3 of those lovely years. My advice to anybody coming new here: be open. Be open to everything you see. You are going to see things that are not normal to you, but it's a different culture, and just remember that. A different culture, and embrace it, because you will learn to love it.
Hi, I'm Elaine. I'm from the UK and this is my first expat experience. I've been in China 3 years now and it's been absolutely fantastic. The people here in Suzhou, in the EAS Association, have been great. They've really helped me a lot in my first situation here abroad. They're also friendly and helpful. Laurie I've known for 3 years and she's just a shining light. She just brings the light into the room. You know, if you're feeling down any day, she just makes you laugh. She's absolutely fantastic.
Because I'm a goofball.
They love you. Hi, I'm Cecilia and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. And I've been here almost 6 years and I've known Lori for 3. And we are in a book club together. And we have even had the opportunity to travel to Beijing because we read a book about China. So that was a lot of fun. And as Michelle mentioned, one of the best things about Lori is her smile and her laughter. And that's going to be missed. And I'm going to cry. That is the downside. There is good and bad. And my one thing to tell everybody is to get involved. You meet all sorts of people from different countries, from your own home state even, and just get involved. There's so many different types of groups, book clubs, sewing clubs, mahjong, everything, shopping.
Yeah, shopping.
Eat lunch together, we celebrate our birthdays, we celebrate everything together, and that's what you need. You need people around you because they are your second family.
Yeah, create a community.
And we are going to miss you, Lori.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sweetie.
We are going to miss you.
Yeah.
Hi, so my name is also Lori. I've known Lori for 6 months. I've lived in China for 3.5 years, but in Suzhou for 6 months. She was actually one of my first good friends here. I'm really going to miss when she leaves. We wish her all the best, and I can't wait to go visit her in Montana.
Indeed.
So that'll be fun. My advice to anybody coming to China is the same advice my friend gave me. Do what you love. If you like to do pottery, find something to do with pottery. If you like to knit, do knitting, but find people to do it with. So join a group. They don't have to be your best friends, but you have something in common. You're all expats.
If you are not used to living in a high-rise, one of the things I've discovered is that sometimes you're really in a rush and you can't always catch an elevator as quickly as you'd like to. Sometimes the elevators are very, very crowded, occasionally with garbage man with all the garbage in it. So he's very friendly, but you don't really want to step on and enjoy that with him. So that's one of the issues. Also, congestion could be a problem. We have a driver. We're not allowed to drive here. So we don't have the car issue that some of our expat friends do, where the parking can be dicey and the congestion is a problem. We're on the 28th floor. Some of the advantages of choosing this particular development is that not only its proximity to the lake, but it also happens to be closer to my husband's work than a lot of the complexes that are over on the other side of the lake. It's very easy to catch a taxi here. This is a very international community. We have neighbors from all over the world, really, here. We've got somebody upstairs. He's Italian and she's Brazilian. Many of our neighbors are Korean, and we have lots of Chinese neighbors, and of course Americans and some other Europeans as well. So it's a nice melting pot, which is interesting and good. By far the first most important thing to me is the pollution. The pollution seems to be getting worse, and it makes me so sad. It comes and goes. We have winds, and there are absolutely spectacular, beautiful days, but sometimes you'll wake up and it's what I call a pea soup day. You can't see very far. The second thing that is problematic, extremely problematic, I guess I should say, is the inconsistency of the internet. Because China has closed access to its citizens, it is difficult when you're used to having full access to be limited in this way. To compensate for that, Western companies have come up with virtual sites that you could connect with so that you do have access. Of course, it's illegal, and therefore the Chinese shut it down as often as they can. I try to remind myself that I am a guest in this country, but it is difficult when I can't reach family. This has become a little more of a problem more recently because they are shutting down the VPNs, the virtual websites from across the world, or not websites, but links to Western. And so it becomes difficult to get onto Facebook, for example, which is something that is the easiest way for me to stay connected with a huge variety of people in my life. One of the things that I think bothers most of my friends more than me is the toilet facilities in China in general. In the smaller towns and in the older parts of the cities, you'll see the toilets that are the squat toilets that are, if you've never seen one, it looks like really like a baby bathtub sunk into the ground, and it has flushing abilities, and you squat over them. Some of my friends feel that this is an impossibility. Well, it doesn't bother me that much, but I was raised on a ranch in Montana. I'm used to, things not being exactly the way you want them. However, all of the modern areas of the cities, by and large, have Western toilets everywhere, so it's not a big deal. What you do, the one thing you always want to remember, though, is you never leave the house without tissue. If you leave the house without anything else, you have to have tissue, because there isn't tissue in the public facilities, and for women, that's a problem. Another thing I want to mention is that queuing up in China seems to be a foreign concept, unless the area is, unless there's a designated area to line up in. People just get there. It's almost comical when you're stepping onto a subway. Everybody is crammed up against the door to be the first one on, not realizing, hey, about as many people have to get off as get on. So it's really funny, and you'll get in situations where people are pushing and shoving you and jostling, and I've learned to just dig my feet in and hold myself back. And if they were really pushing me, I'll go, hey, and they respect that. But it's a completely non-violent, non-confrontational thing. It's just getting to be where you need. And there are certain things that I would recommend people bringing from Western cultures. I guess the first would be your own medicine. There are medicines available here, but I take some prescriptions, and some of the prescriptions, the exact formulations aren't available here. And so it's easy to tell your doctor that you're living abroad and to get those types of prescriptions for 6 months or a year at a time and bring them. I would say that is critical. But it is difficult to go into a pharmacy and try to find cold medicine, for example, or ointment for itching or whatever, because everything, of course, is in Mandarin, as you would expect. And so you may want to bring over just a basic stock, few items that will get you through minor problems. In terms of medical care here, it is very easy. We've got 2 different clinics with English-speaking doctors. They're very fast. They're amazingly efficient. You can go in without an appointment. You're usually seen within 20 or 25 minutes. The doctors speak in perfect English. The pharmacy is in the office, so that as you step out, the doctor walks you to the pharmacy, talks to the pharmacist, and the drugs are ready for you at the spot, and you carry them out with you. It's really, the Western companies have a lot to learn in that respect, I think. It's quite great. As far as bringing food, I don't think it's necessary. Some of my friends bring their favorite food home, not because they can't, sometimes they can't get it here, but usually it's very expensive here because it's had to be imported. I would never do that. But what I would caution, I'm a size 14. I'm not a little girl. But in China, I'm a giant. Well, not compared to some of my Western friends, but for example, a size 14 here is anything from a 3X to a 6X, okay, just so you get them. So what I would say is if you are anything bigger than a size 14 in the U.S., you would probably want to bring the types of clothes. It's hard to get bigger shoes, it's harder to get bigger clothes. I can get clothes here, but if I were any bigger, it would be very difficult. However, the upside of that is that you can go and have clothes made very inexpensively, beautiful, beautiful handmade clothes. And most of us have had cashmere coats made and all kinds of clothes made. But, and they're about half of what they would be in the US. I don't know. I think even less than that in some of the European countries. So that's something that, that I would suggest is your own clothes and shoes, as many as possible. Most of the churches here, the temples here are Buddhist, and you will see some Hindi, not as many. But in terms of Western Christian churches, there are different Christian churches here. There, in a city of 6 million, there was one Catholic church, and now there are 2. So most faiths, and there are Jewish temples here. So most people are able to find a congregation of faith if they are looking for that. And people have asked me about holidays. As far as American holidays go, it is very easy to find a really good Thanksgiving dinner here. A lot of the restaurants provide wonderful meals for the Americans that are in the area. And some of my friends cook in their own home. It's important when you're in a country, in a foreign country during a big holiday, to be with people who celebrate the same holiday that you do, and that is very common here. People get together for Easter and Thanksgiving and Christmas, if they're here for Christmas as well. Some of the shopping I do is in the wet market, where I can buy fresh fruits and vegetables from these local producers, which I really appreciate. The fruits and vegetables are reasonable, and you can bargain for price, although I usually don't because they're so reasonable. Now, when it comes to purses and shoes, I really negotiate, but on food I generally don't. So I take the Anga, and I told her I wanted 2 of those, and I'm going to take some peapods. This is my friend Tess, and she's been donating her time here at the shop for a long time.
Yeah, about 18 months now, yes, while I've been in Suzhou.
Yeah.
It's great fun working here. You get to know lots of customers, we have regular customers, and also the other volunteers. I can say it's definitely a window into making friends and finding out what life is like in Suzhou. And another tip I'd love to pass on to anybody coming here as a tie or trailing spouse is to get a bus pass. And then you can have wonderful mystery bus journeys using practically no money. Just get on the bus, go on it, see how far it goes. When it gets to the end, come back again and just take lots of buses, meet the people, mix with the local people who are always friendly and lovely.
This is the woman who's in charge of our charity committee for Expat Association here in Suzhou, Tracy Green. And Tracy raises, Tracy, tell what you do.
Well, we're a group of 12 people that get together once a month, and we just meet and we decide what projects in Suzhou we can raise money for. Medical treatment, diapers for orphanages, orphanage supplies. So we just help out where we can within the Suzhou community.
This particular place we're standing in is our thrift shop, which is almost 2 years old. It'll be 2 years old this month. And this was the brainchild of Ray Chen, a friend of mine who is busy on the other side of the shop. I'll get her in a minute. And Ray lives in a compound that had some space that was not being used, and she asked if that could be used. And so the charity committee has put together this thrift store, which is in 2 rooms. It's filled with donations, and all of the money made goes to support the local charities. It's a great. It's also run all by volunteers, so every penny made goes back to the community, which is great. And it's a great way for residents, for expats that live in town. It's a good way for them to have a place to donate their things and know that they'll be able to be used by others. And it's also a great place to find things if you're looking for a toaster or something. Someone will have just moved and left one, and so it's just been a great brainchild of EAS. Tonight, my husband and I are enjoying dinner at one of our favorite restaurants, J&J Cafe. This is my husband, Tony. And one of the things that I love about Suzhou is their variety of restaurants. It's a very international city, so there are restaurants of all types. This is our favorite Italian restaurant. We're having pizza. Tony's having pizza, and it's really good pizza. So I want to allay your fears if you think there aren't good foreign foods here. Of course, the Chinese cuisine is wonderful, but we enjoy eating a variety of foods. The price of the food in these restaurants varies greatly, as it does everywhere. They have fast food here. Sadly, a lot of it is American, and we try to avoid it like the plague. But one of our favorite places is Coco Man, is that what it's called? Coco.
No, Coco, you're talking about the curry.
Yeah. Curry. There's a curry house that's fast food. We were telling someone we had found this wonderful place to eat curry. We mentioned the name, and the Chinese people all kind of giggled. And I realized that it was probably like someone saying, "Oh wow, we found this great restaurant. It's called McDonald's." So I think it was.
It is a chain.
It's a chain, but it's wonderful curry. I mean, it's really good. And that's very inexpensive. Chinese food in general is quite inexpensive by Western standards. The international restaurants are more expensive, I think largely because they import a lot of the food. This Italian restaurant uses a lot of Italian products, and therefore the prices are higher. But this is an upscale restaurant, and the prices here are not as expensive as very expensive restaurants in the U.S., but they're comparable to an upscale restaurant in the U.S.
For me, I think the biggest challenge was, in terms of my life away from work, was to find things for me to do. You know, back in my original country, there were many things to do after work. But you have to replace all those, or at least try to replace some of them. Now, we work longer hours here than there, but still, we had to find something to do. So I found bicycling, I found friends, very important.
Now be honest,
and we turned out...
What's your favorite thing? Shopping.
I like shopping as well. And of course, shopping in a foreign country is always a unique experience. But our friends, I developed a group of friends. We meet at least once a week. We play pool. We have a great time. So, you know, I think those are the biggest challenges. Just replacing the non-work things that, of course, you really need to make yourself comfortable and happy in anything.
Well, I think the most important thing is something we talked about before, and that's to ensure that your wife is comfortable. And so the faster she can be connected to other people in her same situation, the better off you will be, the better off your relationship with her will be, and the better off she will be. So I think that's the key.